What's your baseball philosophy? What got you so far?
It's a good question, actually. It all started when I started playing soccer when I was a little kid, and then probably when I was about 7, my mom made me play baseball. It was a pretty big argument in the house. I was 7 years old, so I couldn't really have a say in it. So I was forced to play baseball, and then when I was about 12, I quit soccer and focused all my efforts on baseball. And then from there, it kind of took off. I guess she saw something, hidden talent that I didn't see. But I mean, I feel like I made the path.
Now, do you pitch to your strengths or batter's weakness?
Definitely my strengths. I'll tackle with the fastball. And when I see that they're getting on the fastball, I'll go to some of my off-speed pitches. Right now, I'm working on a changeup, and it's been pretty good in the past 2 starts. I think it's kind of my changeup and my curveball kind of go. They flip-flop every now and then. Right now, with the thin air, it's kind of hard to get a good break on my curveball. So my changeup's kind of trumped my curveball there. But I'm just going to handle it very smoothly and be able to improve that.
Now, being a first-round draft pick, did that put more pressure on yourself, or did you put more pressure on yourself?
No, I didn't really. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're drafted in the first round or 15th round. It's something I've learned is about having the opportunity and making the most of the opportunity. I went up there and just did what was in my control.
That comes up to the next question. Is a lot of first-round draft picks that once they get in an organization get passed up by guys drafted in later rounds.
Do what?
A lot of first-round draft picks get passed up by guys drafted in later rounds. Why does that happen?
I think it might be because some first-rounders might think that they've already made it and drafted in the first round. So I feel like they're entitled to something. But I mean, just because you're drafted in the first round doesn't mean you made it yet. You still got to work. You still got to get better. I mean, going from high school ball to the GCL is still quite a culture shock. In high school, I could get away with fastballs right down the middle. You can't really do that in the GCL. Even in the GCL at lower levels, they'll hit fastballs. You can hit fastball if you give enough time.
Has professional baseball changed you in any way?
It's a lot of maturing took place. When I was 17 years old when I got drafted. Other than that, I hadn't been away from home for longer than probably 2 days at a time without my parents. So my first season of rookie ball, I was away from them for 10 weeks. I think that took a lot of growing up and a lot of maturing. I think I've handled it quite well.
Now, when you show up for spring training, there's a ton of pitchers compete for your spot in the major league roster. How do you approach that?
I just go out there every day and do what I can. I'm trying to focus on other pitchers, other than like the friendships and bonds we build. I mean, we all know that we're out to make the team get a job, but we don't really let that affect our friendship and the relationships we have. But I just try to do what's under my control. I can't really control what they do.
Now, baseball's got a lot of ups and downs, a lot of injuries and up and down the organizations, things like that. Maybe you haven't had that yet, but has there been a time that you wanted to give up baseball?
Not at all. I mean, it gets hard, but it's been my dream. They don't call it the grind for nothing. It's been my dream ever since because of baseball, really, to be able to pitch in the big leagues and do it as possible to get there.
What are some of the things about pro sports you learned the hard way that nobody told you about?
That's a good question. It's just being away from home, probably. I mean, you're home from when I was. A lot of my friends from college, they're home when I'm not, and I'm home when they're not. It's kind of flip-flop, so it's kind of hard to still have those relationships that you made in high school. It's just probably being away from home part. I mean, kind of miss mom's home cooking. Just the aspect of sleeping in your own bed, being on the road, playing professional baseball, sleeping in a hotel bed every 7 or 10 days.
Now, once you sign a pro contract, obviously you're a professional baseball player, but was there a point in time, a moment that you realized that you were going to play professional baseball?
Probably, I mean, going into my senior year, I was pretty content going to Dallas Baptist, playing there for 3 years and then getting drafted out of there. Kind of sunk in a little bit, probably around November or so when I first got my letter from a professional scout, actually. I thought that was pretty cool. I was really excited to go to school the next day and tell my high school coach. I think at that point, I decided that I could make this a reality.
You read the scouting reports where Baseball America ranks you or MLB ranks you and stuff like that?
I try not to pay attention to all that. My parents do, and they try to keep me updated. I try not to let it get inside my head.
How do you handle the fans? People yelling, screaming at you all the time.
For the most part, I think I do a pretty good job at kind of tuning everything out. When my mom comes to visit, but not anymore. But when I was a little kid, she'd always constantly yell at me from the stands, and I never really heard her. So I mean, but it's really cool going out there and hearing. Like when I was in big league camp, I would take the field, and one thing I heard quite often was everyone was yelling at me, calling me Thor, and I thought that was really cool to hear.
How about the umpires, especially the pitcher? How do you handle the umpires?
Can't really do much about it. Not really in your control. Their strike zones, their strike zone. If you get frustrated with them, that strike zone is just going to get a little bit smaller. You just got to continue to keep pounding the strike zone.
What would you tell a high school baseball player if he came up and asked you your advice on?
Just being able to locate the fastball. I feel like a lot of high school kids are all caught up on all the velocity. I mean, velocity's nice and it helps quite a bit, but it all boils down to being able to locate it. It doesn't matter how fast you throw. The hitters are going to catch up to it at some point or another. You got to be able to locate it down both sides of the plate and down at the knees.